So Prabhuji, immediately after the lecture is done, press the stop button, Prabhuji. And second thing, Prabhuji, because what happens is that I'm lecture on the computer, so just press the stop button.
I think that's it. Just start again.
Yes, Prabhuji.
1 minute, Maharaj. Going on from here.
And then second thing is that,
Yeah, now it's complete.
and this time or something. Just log in 1 minute, Prabhuji. Just log into the chat, Prabhuji. You can ask questions, Prabhuji, like just say any questions. You just type in any questions and ask them. They can ask any questions and then you can ask them, Maharaj.
You can put the webcam here. That's make sure you can go this. What are they going to see? In the wrong direction. Yeah, well, where are the people? Now then you have to put the projector over there.
So first I have to, after the lecture is over, I have to press stop over here on this thing, press stop and then start again. And just
Should I go there? You can see the laptop.
this thing right over here.
Okay.
Just click here, click stop, go back to Google Chrome and you can type in your questions.
Okay, any questions?
Yes,
So there's no login ID apart from this.
no, just
And this thing has to be way over here. Okay. Yeah.
Prabhuji, the web camera is connected right now to the computer. Very sorry for the confusion over here. A lot of devotees are moving.
You have to come on this side.
Prabhuji, see, I believe right now, that's why.
It's on.
Prabhuji,
That's it only. Now it's on. Okay.
because I put this in here because there's a chair where you can see the chair is
okay. This is back. Take this part. That's 1 minute. नीचे से लो इसको निकालो डिस्कनेक्ट कर दो move it. Yeah, thanks. Probably there is. The focus on the side, I guess. Usually it's too big, it's small now, it's too small. Focus. You want to make it bigger? Is it okay for you? Push back then. Push back. Usually it's too big for me.
That's it. This it.
Publicity. Oh, let's do this quickly. I don't know. Can we do this?
Yes, you can do it. Maharaj, you can do it.
Oh, what's happening? Normal? 3 to 4. No, I think the size is going this way, that way. Now it's too fat. Just do normal time. Just came between, yeah. Set it sideways. I think because the screen is.
Take it back.
Push the screen back. Back.
No, not that one.
No, that's the thing.
Still close to Small Vishmadai Krishna Saguta Deshi Bhaktivinoda Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Chana Shanyavadi Pachacha Deshi Tarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nanda Siddhvaita Gadara Krishna Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is a little PR announcement. Chennai Temple will be opening in April 26th or so. This is the temple. It's actually, we have about 5.5 acres of land. This is only less than 1 acre that we're using. So actually the temple is the house of the Lord, or the palace of the Lord. But it also represents the human form, or like the Purusha represents the material world, but it's in the form of a person. So the temple also is like a person in several ways. So longitudinally, lengthwise, it is a person, and the head is like the Garbhagriha where the deities are, and the Gopuram is where the feet are, and you got the body of the Lord kind of lying down like that. So it's a Purusha, or a person, like that. And of course, these little markings on the body are actually the chakras on the body. Just as the yogis have chakras, or everyone has chakras in their bodies, and the yogis meditate on the chakras. So this temple also has chakras going off it, which are energy centers like this. So we have these different chakras, which we are also going to represent on the different levels. Here you see the different stair things here. So we'll have these different chakras on the different levels. This is the first chakra at the base of the spine at the bottom, and then the next level will have another one like this, another one, another one. This is the navel chakra. This is the heart chakra, the throat chakra. This is the one on the forehead, and this, of course, is at the top of the head. This is the spiritual chakra. So this will be in the main hall. In the main hall, in the center of our hall, we have this one, and then from there you can see the deities. That's our realization. So that's just the floor plan of the temple hall with the big chakra in the middle. Deities. The The temple also represents Bhumandala with Mount Meru. If you're familiar with the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, there's the geography of the universe. And there it talks about Bhumandala, which is more or less the earth. And then in the center there's a big mountain called Mount Meru. And on the top of the mountain, Brahma lives. And around the bottom is called Jambudvip. And one little portion of Jambudvip in the very corner is Bharat Varsha. Then we have other Varshas like Hari Varsha, Kimpurusha Varsha, Ilavrta Varsha, Ketu, Mala Varsha, Bhadrasva Varsha, etc. Uttara, Kuru Varsha, etc. We have 9 Varshas around here. One of them is Bharat Varsha at the very bottom. This is on the very bottom here, Bharat Varsha. Then there's the big ocean, saltwater ocean. Then out there's another Dvipa outside that. Then there's another ocean. Then there's another Dvipa. Then there's another ocean. So that we have the 7 Dvipas, circular, with oceans, which is circular. So that's Bhumandala. So the temple also represents this planetary position with the different oceans and the different Dvipas around it, with Mount Meru in the middle. Yeah? Like this. This is a Buddhist representation. The Buddhists and the Jains also have the same conception of the universe with the Mount Meru in the middle. And you see in temples like Angkor Wat in Cambodia. This is Cambodia, Angkor Wat, very famous temple, the biggest Vishnu temple in the world. This is actually a depiction of Mount Meru in the middle, and then the Varshas around this spreading out. It's a huge complex actually, like that. So that's a depiction of the universe with Mount Meru in the middle, like that. So basically the temples are like that. And it also represents, of course, the Supreme Lord is the center of the universe. Mount Meru is the center of the universe. Ultimately, the Lord is the center. Of course, Brahma has his seat on top of there, but Brahma is also representative of the Supreme Lord. So actually, Krishna is the center of the universe. Like that. And so, we'll also have Meru in our temple down here at the very bottom. We'll have a representation of Mount Meru on the floor here, as the circular islands and things like that. And we'll also have a cow. What does a cow represent? Represents earth. So, who's read the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam? Only 2 people? 3 people? So, there's a story of Parikshit and personification of Kali. So, in that story, there is Parikshit, there's Kali, and who else is there? Who's the third person? Huh? The cow and the bull. Huh? So the cow represents the earth, and the bull represents Dharma. Dharma. Okay. So if we have Dharma, then the earth flourishes. Huh? So if we have the bull and the cow together, then we get everything, milk, whatever. So the cow represents the earth, and if we have Dharma, then the cow gives the milk. And that means that we have Dharma, then the earth will give its products properly and the human beings can survive. If there's no Dharma, then of course the humans will starve or whatever, and catastrophes will take place, and the human beings will suffer. So therefore we have to have Dharma along with the earth, and then we have prosperity. And we also have elephants. There are some elephants supporting the universe, actually. We saw the Bhumandala there, and with all the dvipas on it. Underneath, there's some elephants holding it up. Big elephants holding up the whole universe. They're millions of miles high, actually, the elephants. So we'll have some elephants also on our temple like that. And at the top of the temple, you have this kalas at the top. The sikra, on the top of the sikra, we have this kalas. So this is bringing the energy from the spiritual world downwards. Of course, we have the deity directly underneath that. So it's actually channeling spiritual energy down and putting that energy into the temple room, so it's non-different from the Supreme Lord. We also have directions. In Vastu, directions are very important. Certain things are good in the east, certain things are bad in this corner or that corner, etc. So space is very important and directions are very important. And when a temple is laid out, they actually have to worship the different areas of the Vastu Purusha. There's a Vastu person shaped like this, lying down here, and you have to worship him to pacify all the different directions, etc. So in that way, the temple will be peaceful. So there are different directions, basically 8 directions, and those directions are ruled by different planets. The east is the sun, and the west is Saturn, like that. And south is Mars, and north is Mercury, like this. So we have different directions, and we have planets. And with the planets, we also have deities. Each planet has a deity, etc. So here are the deities, are the planets in different directions. So we have Saturn, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Rahu, Moon, and Jupiter, and Venus. And they each have avatars to go with them. So for instance, the moon is northeast, and that's represented by Krishna. And similarly, Mars is represented by Narasimhadev, and east is represented by Lord Rama, and west by Kurma, the turtle, and south Varaha Dev, and southeast by Venus, Parsuram, and north by Mercury, Buddha, and northeast by Jupiter, and that's represented by Vamana Dev. So we have avatars and planets related to the different directions. So in our temple, we'll have all these directions, and we also have those directions on the windows, and then we have the different planets and the different avatars of the planets on the specific directions for all the different windows here. So we'll have, for instance, we'll have east, we'll have this in the window with Rama. So all the avatars will be represented in the different directions, proper Vastu directions in the temple. That actually be in these windows up at the top, big windows, 8x8 windows at the top there in the temple room. Okay. This is the that was the plan. This is the progress. What have we completed, etc. The land purchase of the structure, the exterior. Most of it's all finished now. Some things have to be done still. Deities are finished. Most of the altars are finished, etc. Only we have to do lighting and windows at the moment, things like that. Everything else is more or less complete, like this. Anyway, so this is actually meant for donations, to collect donations from people, what we need for different items. So anyway, it's mostly completed now. The woodwork is finished, and the doors are finished, etc. The floors are finished. Only the lighting and the windows and the painting, final painting of the thing. Basically, that's about it. And some exterior work. Okay, that's it then. As far as this is lighting, etc. Okay. These are different services, but anyway, that was it. So that was the PR part. And I want to do something philosophical. What do we want for philosophy? Anything? What should we do here? They see in the birth and death one? That's a simple one. Beyond birth and death. That's a long. Okay, let's do the birth and death one. I could do Brahma Samhita one. I'll do the Brahma Samhita one. Okay. So, Brahma Samhita is often quoted by the Gaudiya Sampradaya, but not quoted elsewhere. Other people don't know about it. But Lord Chaitanya found the 5th chapter of the work in Kerala, in the Adikeshava temple, brought it back to Puri, and since that time, the Gaudiya Acharyas have used that work extensively. We often quote it, and of course, in our Govinda prayers every morning, we're using Brahma Samhita also. So this work is very convenient because it explains the relationship of the different devatas, Shiva and the avatars to Krishna and the relationship. So we know this famous Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nami Adi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. That's the first verse of this particular chapter of the Brahma Samhita. So what does Ishvara mean? Ishvara means he is the supreme controller. Ish means to control. So Ishvara means that person who controls. Now, of course, in this material world, we have people who control, managers and bosses and bankers and whatever they all control, governments control. But the controller of everything in all the universes, etc., is called the supreme controller. But even among all the supreme controllers, there are many forms of God. Finally, the final controller is Krishna. He's the final controller. And he is Parama. Parama, of course, means supreme, but we can also analyze the word slightly different. And Ma can be equal to consorts or Lakshmi. Like Ma means, of course, mother. So he is the enjoyer of innumerable consorts, Parama. And Satchidananda Vigraha, he possesses the eternal form of knowledge and bliss. Of course, the Lord is not different from his form, so he doesn't really possess the form. He is the form. The Lord is a form of knowledge and bliss and eternity. You can't separate his form from himself. Now, all of the forms of the Lord are Satchidananda Vigraha. Any form of Bhagavan, thousands and millions of forms, are all Satchidananda Vigraha. But Krishna is in a very special position because his bliss and his knowledge is completely manifested. Anadi Adir. He is without origin. Adi means cause. He is the cause of everything, and he has no cause. So he's the source of everything. Now, so this can apply to all forms of the Lord, whether it is Vishnu or Rama or Shrimadev or any of these different forms. They all are the Anadi. They have no beginning and no origin. But still, Krishna is in a very special position among all the different forms of God, what to speak of lesser forms like jivas. Of all the forms of God, Krishna also is the source of everything. Why? Because he manifests everything fully, whereas the others don't. In that sense, he is the source. Of course, they're all eternal, so you cannot say he creates anybody. But he is the full manifestation, whereas the other forms of God show less manifestation of qualities. Therefore, he is considered to be the final source of everything. And of course, Govinda means he is the boy who takes care of the cows. So, we often use the word Krishna. One meaning of the word Krishna is all attractive. Krishna means to pull. The one who pulls everybody is Krishna. It's got all attractive qualities. However, in the Gautamiya Tantra, it gives another definition. Krishna means bu, which means existence. So therefore, Krishna is the cause of all existence. He is the cause of the material world and the spiritual world and the basis of all of the other forms of God. And Na means he is the cause of bliss. So all forms of the Lord are also blissful, but he is the highest expression of bliss also. So therefore he is the cause of all bliss. So this gives a very complete description of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so the Brahma Samhita, of course, begins by talking about the Dhamma of Krishna. There are many parts of the Dhamma, but the center is called Gokula, just like we have a lotus and we have the center of the lotus, which has like Mount Meru in the middle also there. So, this is the central part is called Gokula. And it's described that it has 1,000 petals around it, supported by the energy of Baladev called Ananta. And around this, we have a square place called Goloka, or Swetadip. So we have Gokul in the middle, and we have Goloka around it. And Goloka is divided into 4 parts with the Vishnu forms in it. So what is the difference? It's all Krishna's place, Goloka and Gokul. That's represented in yantra form. So we have the central part of like the lotus, and then we have the square around it, which is the Goloka part. So there's a difference. The Gokul part is where no one sees Krishna as God. And he's a cowherd boy. And the square part, outside, Goloka, is also Krishna in a cowherd boy form. But everyone sees him also as God, in spite of being a cowherd boy. So Mother Yasoda and Nanda see him also as God, as well as being a cowherd boy. So there's a little difference. In the middle part, in Gokul, they don't see him at all as a cowherd boy. Outside, then they also see, or the outside they see a Supreme Lord also. So there's a difference there. So we have the material world down here, like this, and then we have the spiritual world, which we just described, Goloka and Gokul up top, the spiritual world. How is there any connection between these two worlds? Because they're completely different. One is spiritual, one is material. Yet the Supreme Lord is very merciful, and somehow He provides a little bit of a communication between these two worlds. So the Brahma Samhita describes how the Lord enters into the material world. On one hand, He's enjoying with His spiritual energy as the Purusha Avatar Mahavishnu. In other words, He's in Yoga Nidra, and He's completely disconnected from material creation, whatever. And then it describes that He begins to carry out creation of the material worlds by glancing with His time energy. And He injects jivas into Prakriti, and then they form into universes like this. And then He enters into each universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and from Garbhodakshaya Vishnu springs Brahma. And then Brahma takes all the materials in the universe and makes 14 planetary systems and Bhumandala, makes all the bodies for the living entities. So, this is also described there. So, we get Prakriti, and then inside Prakriti we have Mahavishnu. And then within each little universe, the Lord enters as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then Brahma springs from Him. And then the Lord expands again inside each jiva within a universe. So in this way, the Lord enters into everything in the universe, from its broadest aspect of Prakriti down to the inside the jiva. So the Lord pervades everything this way. And still, He remains in the spiritual world. So this is how the spiritual world enters into the material world, but remains in the spiritual world at the same time. So the Lord's inside everything and outside everything. So the Brahma Samhita describes how the Lord appeared, or the Lord produced Brahma. And then, actually there's 2 Brahmas. Hiranyagarbha Brahma, and the other Brahma with 4 heads, Chaturmukh Brahma. So there's 2 forms actually. This form here is the golden form of Brahma, which no one can see. And so he simply enjoys very nicely. He doesn't have to do any creation. And we have the other Brahma with 4 heads. He what carries out creation of the material worlds. And so these 2 forms of Brahma are there, created by the Supreme Lord. So the Brahma Samhita describes how Brahma got his knowledge. And where did the knowledge come from? From the Supreme Lord, from the spiritual world. He's in the material world, and Brahma's puzzled what to do. And then he hears sound. He gets mantra. So this is how he gets access to the spiritual world, through mantra. He doesn't see the Lord directly, but he gets sound. And through that sound, then he gets realization of the Lord. So the Lord enters into everything in the material world, but still we can't see Him. He's inside Brahma, and Brahma's looking around trying to create the material world and can't find anything. It's all dark. So the Lord appears in the form of sound, or mantra. So that spiritual sound is non-different from its object. In other words, the mantra is about the Supreme Lord, and it's sound, but it's non-different from the Lord. Material sound is different. Object and sound are different. But spiritual sound is equal to the Supreme Lord. So that goes through different transformations. In its purest form, it's called para. And gradually it gets covered by different conceptions, mental conceptions, intellectual conceptions, madhyama, pasyanti, and finally it comes out something we can hear. That's the verbal one called vaikari. It also goes through different chakras to do that. So that sound actually is spiritual, but comes out verbal, and then we may think, oh, it's material because we can hear. But no, the spiritual element is still there somewhere inside there. Like that through the chakras. Okay. So, what happened? Brahma heard this sound. A voice spoke. He didn't see anybody, but he heard a voice, and he gave him a mantra. He gave him a Krishna mantra. So this is his Diksha mantra. So that Diksha mantra is about Krishna and the gopis, and it's non-different from Krishna. So in this way he got a realization of Krishna through mantra. And then he heard Krishna's flute. And then it came out of Brahma's mouth as Gayatri mantra. And so in this way, Brahma got his Dvija status, his second birth, by getting Gayatri mantra through Krishna. This, of course, must be Kam Gayatri, the Krishna Gayatri mantra. So this way, Brahma got his Diksha. Got his mantra and his Gayatri. So, once Brahma got his Diksha, then he began to recite his prayers to the Supreme Lord. That's the Brahma Samhita as we know it. So, first he begins by praising Krishna. That's Govinda. And praising his Dhamma. Chintamani Prakar Shatmasu. So what this means is, he's praising or worshipping Govinda, who affectionately tends the cows and stables whose walls are made of Chintamani. Chintamani Prakara. Prakara means walls. Sadmasu means buildings. Surrounded by desire trees. Kalpavriksha, Lakshavarteshu. Thousands and thousands of kalpavrikshas. And he's herding the cows. And he's served by the gopis. Lakshmi Sahasra Sambrahma Sevyamanam. So this is a picture of Krishna in Gokul or Goloka, spiritual place, served by the gopis and surrounded by the cows. Okay. And then another verse about Krishna playing his flute and describing his wonderful form. He has his flute and he has his lotus-like eyes, Aravindala Dalaya Taksham. And he has a peacock feather, Paravatamsam, on his head. And he has Asita Ambuda, that means a blue cloud, or a black cloud, we could say. Sita means white, Asita means black. And Ambuda means cloud. So Asita Ambuda, Sundarangam. He has beautiful limbs which are blackish like a cloud. And what is his beauty? More wonderful than millions of cupids, Kandarpas. So this describes a wonderful form of Krishna. Okay. So this is what Brahma got from his mantra. He was able to see the Lord in this way through his mantra. So then Krishna continues, and he describes the Lord in relation to many things. So he describes Krishna's relationship to Durga Devi. Very important, because some people worship Durga as supreme. And we have many temples of Durga Devi, and they worship her as if she's the supreme creator of everything. So this is a verse about Durga Devi. So, in relation to Krishna, what is a relationship? She is like a shadow, chaya. Yes, she's got power because she supports the worlds. And she carries out the process of creation, maintenance, and destruction. Srishti Sriti Pralaya, Sadhana Shakti. So she does have power definitely, and she supports all the worlds by this. But what is she? She is Chaya. Chaya Vayasya. And why is she called Chaya or shadow? Because she only acts according to the will of Krishna. Krishna Anurupam. She doesn't do it independently. So, if you have a shadow, shadow is not independent. I move my arm, then the shadow moves. If I don't move, the shadow doesn't move. So same way, Durga Devi cannot do anything unless Krishna says do it. When Krishna wants her to do it, then she does it. So she moves according to the will of Krishna. So that's why she's called Chaya. She's like a shadow. Huh? So she's not independent. She's got power, but not independently. Okay, so then we wonder about Shiva. Some people think Shiva is supreme. Because Shiva is the husband of Durga Devi. So if Durga Devi is not supreme, then the husband of Durga Devi must be supreme. So then some people worship Shiva as supreme. So this verse describes the relationship of Shiva to Krishna. So it is like the relationship between milk or kshiram and yogurt, dadi. So they are related because yogurt is produced from milk. So Shiva is like the yogurt and Krishna is like the milk. So one produces the other. But at the same time, they're very like each other. One is the cause of the other. They're not completely different also. So by a certain transformation, it turns into yogurt. Vikara Visesha Yogat. At the same time, they're kind of non-different. So, that is the relationship of Krishna to Shiva. He's non-different from Govinda, but also different because he contacts the transformations of Prakriti. Just as milk becomes yogurt when it's, which can be said to be non-different, but acts in a different manner. So there's difference and sameness also. But the difference is enough to distinguish him from Vishnu forms. Even though he's not like a jiva, he's also not Vishnu. So he's above the jivas, but less than Vishnu. So he's like the yogurt in relation to the milk. Okay, that's Shiva. So therefore, we can't put him in the same position as Ishvara. Supreme Lord. Okay, what about Brahma? Some people think Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, all are equal, all are supreme. So, we already said Shiva's not because he's like the yogurt. So who's Brahma? What is he? So the example is given here of the sunstone. The sunstone is a stone which absorbs the light and heat of the sun and then is able to give off a little light and a little heat. So it takes some of the qualities of the sun, but in small quantity. So that is like Brahma. He is like the sunstone in relation to the sun. So Krishna is the sun and Brahma is the sunstone. Like that. So therefore, Brahma is the creator of the universe by the will of the Supreme Lord, but only given a small portion of the powers, like heat and light in the sunstone, the Surya Kanta jewel. Okay? So that's his relationship. Like that. So he gets some of the powers like a sunstone. And some people worship Ganesh. There are some people, not nowadays so much, but previously there were people who worship Ganesh as Supreme Lord. Some people worship other devatas also. So some people worship Ganesh as Supreme. But here, this verse describes that Ganesh also is simply a servant. Of course, he's famous for getting rid of obstacles in the material world, and therefore that's why people worship him. Just like an elephant is big, he can push over big obstacles. So Ganesh we worship Ganesh and we get rid of our obstacles. So he's famous for removing obstacles. But where does he get his power from? So it says on his forehead he has the feet of Govinda. So that's how he gets his power. Ganesh fixes firmly upon the two bulges on his forehead the feet of Govinda, offering his obeisances, and that's how he gets the power to destroy everything in the material, obstacles in the material world. So his power is not independent of Krishna's power. Well, it's spotty like that. Maybe it's just dust on the lens. Anyway. Okay, as I mentioned, some people worship Ganesh as supreme, some people worship Surya as supreme also. So no, Surya is not supreme. Certainly he's called Raja, or the king of all the planets, and he's considered also the eye of the universe, etc., because he gives sight and he causes visibility with light, etc. And he's considered to be the sum total of all devas, Samasta Suramurti. He has unlimited power, Asesha Teja. But, and he's also, because due to the sun we get day and night, passing time, years, everything like this, so he is considered to be the time factor. Kala Chakra. But what happens? He only moves by the order of the Lord. Yasyagirya Brahmanti. He only revolves because of the order of Govinda. So, in other words, he also is dependent on the Supreme Lord for all of his powers. He is the Lord of time, and he's got so much power and light, and he's responsible for vision and forms, but still, all that power is given by the Supreme Lord. And of course, he is the king of all the devatas, it says. So actually we have all these navagrahas, 10 planets, or 9 planets, of which the sun is the chief one. All of them are not independent. They're under the Supreme Lord. Okay, so we've gone through all the different devatas, and Shiva, and Durga. What about Brahman? Impersonal Brahman. So, that Brahman is without parts, it is Ananta, infinite, no beginning, no end, and it holds up thousands of universes. Everything is situated in Brahman. What is this Brahman? So here it says, it is the effulgence of Govinda, Prabha. Yasya Prabha. It is only the effulgence of Govinda. That's all it is. So it has great power to hold up all the worlds and everything, but actually it's just the light coming out of Krishna. That's all it is. Nothing more than light. So the light has a source. What is the source? The source is Supreme Lord. So the Brahman is only the effulgence of the Lord, or a byproduct of the Lord, even though some people may think that's the ultimate spiritual goal. It's only the byproduct of the Lord. So, what about the other forms of the Lord, like the Purusha avatars? So, yeah, Krishna is the source of all the Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu. The example is given of a light, or a dipa. So, the one light produces a second lamp, which lights a third lamp, etc. So we can have one light, and we can light more lamps from that. And they all have the same power. So in the same way, the Lord can expand himself with all powers in all these different forms. So he can expand himself as Kshirodaksha Vishnu, Garbhadaksha Vishnu, Mahavishnu. So they're all non-different. But still, one is the source. So Krishna is the source, and all the others are the secondary, third, fourth, fifth, like that. That's the relationship of the avatars to the Supreme Lord. So not only in the Vishnu form, Krishna is the source or origin of all the different avatars like Rama and Nrsimha, etc. Like that. So we have many, many different avatars, many forms to perform different types of pastimes. They're suitable for different things. But ultimately, the source is Krishna. So, therefore, we have Krishna at the top, and we have Purush avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksa Vishnu, with the other avatars like Matsya, Kurma, Nrsimha, Rama, etc. And we have other Vishnu forms as well in the spiritual world, Samsa forms. And they're all springing in one sense, spiritual, but expansions from Krishna. Durga and Brahma and Ganesh and Surya and other devatas. Ultimately all under the control of Supreme Lord Krishna. Okay. So, how do we attain Krishna, who's the highest of all? Through the process of Bhakti Yoga. So, this verse describes how the devotee can always see the Lord in his heart. How does he do that? Because he has eyes covered with prema. Then he can see the Lord in his heart at all times with his inconceivable achintya guna sarupam, his form with inconceivable qualities. Like that. And what is that form? It is the source of all bliss and all rasas. So, we worship the Lord, we get a realization of the Lord, and we establish a relationship with the Lord. So there are many relationships we can establish with the Lord. These are called rasas. And they are all manifested in Krishna. So, we got rasas like the lover, that is a conjugal Madhurya rasa, or Shringar rasa. We have parent, that is Vatsalya rasa. We have friendship, Sakya rasa. We have servant, that is Dasya rasa. Also the son, relationship is the Dasya rasa. And then we get other moods like bewilderment, or mohana, etc. Vimohana, and anger, krodha, and bhaya, etc. These are called secondary rasas and Vabhachari bhavas. So all of these have their source in Krishna. All the different rasas have their source in Krishna. And so these rasas, the devotees can experience bliss with Krishna. Okay. And of all the bliss, the highest bliss is in Madhurya rasa. So that's also described. So actually Brahma describes everything. Even though he doesn't realize everything, he describes everything. His rasa is basically Dasya rasa, but he's able to describe even the Madhurya rasa here. So he describes how Govinda, though he is actually affectionate towards everybody, he has a special attraction for the gopis, who are the embodiment of Madhurya rasa. And they have exchange rasa with each other eternally in Goloka. So, after his prayers, then the whole thing concludes by emphasizing again that everything is achieved through the process of shraddha, or faith, and bhakti. Giving of all practices, just worship me alone with faith. According to one's faith, one attains the goal. So, after Brahma recited his prayers, after he got the mantra, and then he recited his prayers, then the Lord spoke again, and then he was pleased with the prayers, and he gave blessings that Brahma could carry out the creation of the universe. So in this way, Brahma got his spiritual realization, also got certain powers from the Lord to carry out his functions as the creator of the material world. So, through that medium of mantra and sound, all of this was able to take place. Okay, Hare Krishna.